feel like King James.
Sounds like it is straight from the motherfucking cassette.
I hate when you get to a point in your career where people feel like they got you figured out and there's no more surprises. I like people to press play on my stuff and still be surprised.
Turn it up, baby. No introduction necessary, you heard? Hey, yo.
One.
Boys, oh, what's going on? Dusttin with 2 T's here, and welcome to the Dusttin Bowerman Show. Today on this woeful Wednesday, very woeful Wednesday. I know yesterday was such a positive day. It was a terrific Tuesday. And now today on this Wednesday, it's a very woeful, very slow, very sad Wednesday. On this January 6th, 2021, we speak about a few topics here today. I have my boys, Anthony and Max, you'll see on the show in just a moment here. We're going to run down few of the topics, few of the questions, few of the things that we have going on today. So NRG CEO Andy Miller actually ranted about some fake merch that happened on the scene. This has been going on for esports in a while. I mean, there's been some fake merch, fake stuff. I think I saw on Amazon, they posted in the article that we read today that 100 Thieves merch was actually stolen and copied and put on Amazon. Now, there's a couple other things that happened today, TSM or yesterday/today. TSM's ImperialHal, an Apex Pro, actually got swatted in person by the police. That's kind of crazy. That's some bad news that happened today. And then we also have the FNX Sex Tape scandal that happened today. He leaked his a sex tape in a group chat that was not very much so appreciated by the other person. And Dignitas has a new logo. That's kind of sick. Cool news. They're kind of going back to a blast from the past. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then a Fortnite pro was actually banned from Twitch and then eventually from YouTube today, literally after 10 minutes after going live. We'll talk about that in just a bit. And then the Rascal, people have been asking about him in Overwatch League and the SF Shock. What happened to Rascal? What's going on with him? We'll talk about that at number 6 here today. But Anthony, Max, what's going on? How are you guys doing on this very sad and woeful Wednesday?
I'm tired. That's as woeful as you can get.
It really is, dude. It really is. I mean, Max, you feeling the same sentiment? Are you also tired on this woeful Wednesday? Are you absolutely battered in the brains right now?
No, I'm just feeling down for other reasons, but yeah.
Still feeling down about that ship?
Yeah, to be honest, it's still impacting me to this day. I'm pretty sure I've been pooping like deer poop for the past day or so. You know what I mean? Like, you know how deer's like when they shit in the woods, it's just like little droplets. It's kind of like that for me right now. It's like little droplets. It's not really. You're
saying
it's very descriptive. What?
You're a droplet.
I'm a droplet. Yeah, I'm a deer. I'm a deer person now, I guess. And I am a droplet. Yeah, I'm basically just a droplet in this thing called life. But speaking about life, speaking about news, that's keeping these corporations running. NRG CEO actually is talking about the crap that pisses him off when he said that there's merch being stolen and posted on websites like Amazon. Now, you know, is Jeff Bezos benefiting from this stolen merch, Max? Is that what's going on right now? I mean, there's just basically esports teams being ripped off right now and posted on Amazon. What's going on there? Is this one company shill going to the other company? What's going on, Max?
I don't know. It's like, are the people selling them on AliExpress and Redbubble, and they're just custom ordering their copyrighted prints on their thing? Is that stealing? Should people go after
it is. Them? Isn't it not stealing? I mean, they're basically copying their trademark design and posting it on the website, you know, just for cash money. I mean, it doesn't seem very legal to me. I mean, it's not, right? It's not legal, but at the same time, like, we've talked about this in our own staff chat, like, is it that big of a deal? Is it that big of a deal that these guys are stealing this merch? I don't know if I agree. Like, this merch is overly, like, 100 Thieves, for example. These guys release a fucking, like, $120 shirt that sells out within like a week or whatever, or something like that. Like, people were hyped up about that. I know Sharp, my ex-teammate, was super pumped about the 100 Thieves merch. I think he bought a couple things, and they're actually reselling for like double the price, and that's absolutely insane in itself.
Like,
but this is just they're like, I don't know, they're selling them for like $120 and stuff like that, $150 for 100 Thieves merch. I think for a shirt, yeah, for a shirt, for a jacket.
100 Thieves.
It just has 100 Thieves. Well, it has some like cool designs on it. Like, it's just, I mean, it's still paint on a shirt. It's just like Supreme, like that kind of thing. They're going for that vibe, Max.
And it's still probably not like ethically sourced stuff that's like built in America, something that
no sweatshop in Africa, just absolutely just people slaving away to make this shit work, getting paid $1 a day probably. You know, it's not necessarily, I mean, these sweatshops are definitely legit, and at the same time, there's not like it's ethically produced shirts like you say. I mean, it could be. I would love to see these esports teams talk about how they're getting their sources from, you know, ethically produced manufacturers in America and stuff like that. And then maybe you could really, you know, resonate with the high price tag, be like, oh, okay, this is going to, you know, the union and stuff like that, and actually qualified workforce that is taken care of, but it's probably not. Yeah, it's probably not. It's probably not very ethical and very clean, what they're doing behind the scenes. And it's never been, right?
Yeah, I'd like to think about how much these companies depend on these merch sales too. It's like there's no way they're only relying on ad money, right? There's probably a huge amount of money.
Yeah, a lot of it goes to merch,
merch. That's probably why it's like $120 for just a shirt.
Well, especially in the entertainment industry, I think like a majority of the money is made through merch. And I think that's why Overwatch League actually made, Overwatch League and CDL actually made it so the teams can't produce their own individual merch, if that makes sense, for like the first 2 years or something like that. So yeah, they had to be. Merch? Yeah, no Dogman merch. Well, I think I could have. I don't know exactly. I don't think I could have made my own merch. I couldn't. I know I couldn't get a shoe sponsor. I tried to get a shoe sponsor. I was like, I wanted to reach out to Adidas and stuff like that. Like, hey, I can wear your shoes or whatever on stage. But they were like, no. We want the right to potentially do a shoe deal. And there's still no shoe deal. So what the fuck, man? Why couldn't I get my own goddamn shoe? What the hell is going on there? I wanted to have my own Adidas or Nike or whatever shoe, which is also unethically produced, I imagine. So, I mean, to be honest, maybe a good idea that I didn't get that. Maybe I could have got some Allbirds or something like that, some other brands that could have reached out. But in the meantime, no merch being done. And in the meantime, I actually like this to be honest with you, I actually like the fake merch. Like, I actually was going to purchase a 100 Thieves shirt or whatever, like a Dignitas shirt on Redbubble for like $20 or something like that. Because who wants to spend $40 for a fucking t-shirt, man? Or like a $30 for a t-shirt, That's like the cost of most of this stuff. The jerseys are upwards of $60. I think my signed jersey by Overwatch League is upwards of $120 or something like that. What was it again? You guys like looked it up a while ago. It was expensive.
It was, so it's half off right now. It's $75. Oh, yeah. So apparently it was $150 just to.
It's $150
shirt.
Yeah, it was $150 just to get a signed jersey by me.
Do you find any of that money, or is it a bonus?
No. We don't get any of that money. None of that goes directly to the players at all, Max. I mean, the only money that we got as players is through our salary, which is not bad for sure. I mean, I'm not complaining. You get a salary, you play in Overwatch League, but most of the content created from you just goes straight to Overwatch League's system, and which is why kind of during the Overwatch League I was always trying to branch out and do my own thing and make money otherwise, because like, okay, this is a consistent salary. I was like, okay, I want to kind of do other stuff, kind of bounce around or whatever, make sure that I'm not just stuck in this goddamn loophole that is Overwatch League, and I just kind of experimented and went outside, but you don't get any of that money, no. And they make you sit down. Actually, I think they even sent me, I'm out of Overwatch League now obviously, but they still sent me a whole box of all-star, or like the cards that they're selling. So like there's player like cards, like it's the same company that does the NHL ones and like I think baseball. Like there's a bunch of cards they pretty much sell. They send us out, and you have to sign like 500 cards or something like that, or like 100 cards. You have to individually sign each of them pretty much. And then I was like, I had a whole signature for like the first 10, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna cut this in half. I'm gonna write dog. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna write D with a smile or something like that. Like, I just eventually, like, got it down to, like, a science, and it was, like, burning my arm fucking signing all these cards. But they make you do all that kind of stuff, and that's a part of the league. That's what happens when you sign up for the league. Is it really fair? I mean, I'd say yes, because you're getting paid money to do this. Like, Anthony, would you sit down for 500 cards for, like, 2 hours straight for something that you're not even going to make money off of because you're getting paid a salary? Or
I mean, yeah, it's part of, is it part of the contract, I guess?
It's part of the contract, yeah.
Yeah, you just have to.
Well, and that goes back to the topic that we were asked yesterday about the players' union, actually. Because people were wondering, like, why hasn't a players' union started? Why aren't they, like, asking for this stuff, like getting paid by jerseys, like Max said, like getting paid by the stuff that you're made to do by the league? Like, why aren't you getting any portion of that salary, any of that money coming in? And I think overall it's been kind of a hotly debated topic, and that's why it's kind of... It's been in the limelight, and I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't think it ever will. It's kind of like on the players to get that negotiation themselves. But the problem is with... What was that?
Have you been approached for it?
For like deals, like individual sponsorship and stuff like that?
No, like a union.
About a union? Yeah, I've been individually approached. Or I know I approached Jake about it a while ago. That's why Jake's been kind of like a pretty prominent figure, is that he's been kind of the one that's going to take the lead on that sort of thing. But now that he's not in the league and now that he's not really focused on that kind of stuff, it's like it's too much to ask for because you're basically putting a target on your back. Like realistically, when you're the one starting this thing, you're pretty much telling the owners like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna go make my own players union to pretty much prevent any sort of unethical or even some things to make you money, to make you extra money back so that I can be okay." And for the most part, obviously, owners aren't going to like that. I mean, I got nothing against it, and they're after their bottom line, and I totally get that. And because esports is such a bubble, they're investing their money. They want to have as much income as possible so they can keep it running. But for the most part, I don't think it's too big of a deal to ask for a players union, I guess. But like we said the other day, it's kind of hard. The majority of the issues are the fact that there's cultural differences between Korean players and Western players. And that's kind of been the biggest factor, is that the Eastern versus Western sort of scenario is even happening at the widest margin, not just within teams. It's also within the overall cohesion of the Overwatch League players and working together. And like for the most part, I would have loved to have an individual like sponsorship with the shirt deal or whatever or something like that. But yeah, like a majority of your rights and what you get as a player comes through your own individual negotiations, because for the most part, a player signs with like an agent is what happens, Max. So you sign up with an agent before you start, or when you're in like academy teams, or when you're in like the tier 2 scene, you sign up with an agent, and then you immediately with that agent go to when an Overwatch League team approaches you, they approach the agent. You can't make the direct negotiation, and actually goes through your agent at that point. Usually through the negotiations happen that way. And then like sometimes you're in those calls and you kind of go back and forth with your agent. You just assume, for the most part, like most players are kind of dumb enough to assume that the agents do everything for you. But for the most part, it's kind of weird, actually. I guess I should touch on this topic. It kind of is strange. I gotta be real. There's a strange phenomenon going on in the esports scene where I gotta be real, like players and coaches and whoever else are kind of scammed by some of these esports agents. Like a lot of them really don't do that good of a job. Like a lot of them are kind of working with the teams, and some of the ones that have a majority rule over the teams are kind of like working with the teams to try to get them the best deal, because realistically the esports agents only make a majority of their money, or make a lot of their money, off the big name people. Like if they had XQC, or if they had Siegel, or if they had somebody else, that's where they're making their money. They're not making their money off of the people that get signed minimum contract $50,000 a year, right? They don't really give a shit about that. And if they see you trajecting in that territory, they'll sign you and they make the extra money, but they're not going to put towards that extra effort, obviously, towards you. So there's kind of like a weird monopoly right now on esports players, where they're actually totally owned by these agents that kind of just dictate everything for them, and they just don't do anything. Like I think a lot of the salary, a lot of the contract on average is, I think about 5% a salary a year is directed towards the agent. The agent gets 5% of your salary a year. So if you get paid, help me with the math here. So if you get paid $100,000 a year, they take $5,000 from you a year, basically, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal, I suppose. Like $5,000 is kind of similar to taxes, but when you add up and everything from housing to other things that they take from you, it's kind of interesting that like you're not getting paid as much as an NFL athlete. You're not going to make that much money, and they're really not doing that much for you besides negotiating your original salary and your original contract. So what's the point of having an agent when you could just do it yourself? And that's the biggest thing, is that players kind of need to get better at understanding the negotiation between themselves and the organization, and that really hasn't been a thing. That's not been a thing. People are kind of scammed into kind of going after these agents that are kind of just stealing money out of their pocket. Now, I'm friends with even some of these agencies, and that's great. There's a couple of them that are good. Not all of them are bad. A lot of them are very much so like, I'll help you now, just pay me later scenario, where they're very good about it and very ethical. But for the most part, the monopoly on Overwatch League, on LCS, on those agents is not very good for the players. I got to be real, because a lot of them are like, I think a lot of them are working with the organizations to try to get the organization the better deal. And that's kind of the scenario that's happening. It's a little bit interesting that this is going on. Like, don't you think it's a little bit weird that some of these like agencies have this big of a monopoly, Max? Like, isn't that strange? Like, that doesn't happen in traditional sports. It's just with esports.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange place to have. Like, they won't negotiate with you if it's only through an agent. They won't even talk to you. But then again, how do you even like get your name out? Like, I know, like, probably, I don't know, Moon or Siegel or something like that. They probably had names before then. Do you think they had agents too?
Yeah, they got agents. I think a lot of players were getting an agent though, because what you notice is that like nobody talks about this because like I think esports agents in the market are very much so like it's kind of scary, I guess, for a player. I assume from a standpoint where like, okay, these guys are lawyers, they could sue me for talking, kind of whatever, you know. But there's like a lot of that kind of background information that's not really talked about because of, I guess, fear. You know, it's kind of like a run by fear scenario, similar to, I don't know, I'm not going to say any political statements here, but, you know, similar to other scenarios across the world. And for the most part, it's a little bit spooky, I guess, as a player. And I think that this kind of stuff needs to be known because it needs to be known to get better and to improve and to get esports as a whole at a higher level and to actually get esports as known as traditional sports and as profound and as professional as traditional sports, because that's the only way. We don't have to be like traditional sports. We just need to be ethical, similar to traditional sports. And now it's not, because you could always talk about college football or college sports and stuff like that not paying their players, and there's that negotiation and that argument that always happens. But in esports, it's very much so a wild west, you know? And I think a lot of players need to be more aware of this because a lot of them are getting scammed. A lot of them are getting 5% of their salary taken out a year, which when you see that at the end of the year, you're like, wow, I really just gave $5,000 to my agent and they didn't do jack shit for me. What the fuck am I paying these guys for? You know, and like they I'm sure they could do things like get you Twitter verified, get you Instagram verified, or whatever else you want. But for the most part, it's a little bit spooky because they don't really do that much for you. They just kind of sit there, you know, with their biggest names, and they actually work with them directly and get a lot of information out of them. But the esports agency market is very much not even oversaturated. It's just monopolized right now, and people aren't kind of aren't realizing it, I guess.
Dustin,
and that kind of type. Oh yeah.
Well, but before you go on, can you go into like how you got your agent or what the process of getting an agent is?
So I guess I got my agent because you kind of hear around the scene what goes on. So you hear like, oh, I signed with this agent, I got picked up by San Francisco Shock. Oh, I signed with this agent, then I got picked up by Florida Mayhem. And then you notice, you connect the dots, you're like, oh, this agent has gotten 3 players signed. And that's to your point. It's like, oh, that's how do you get your name out there? And it's kind of weird because most players don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to be like, oh, I'm going to go to this team, I'm going to send them an email, I'm going to send them a document, you know, or whatever about my resume and stuff like that. And they're not individually trying to reach out to you. It's more like you get put on this list by this agent, and the agent kind of takes this list to the teams and is be like, oh, pick up this guy. They prioritize what they think is actually top players and stuff like that. And then they kind of give that to the teams, and then they pick up that way. So it's not really... The agent's really not doing much in terms of marketing these players. They just kind of have an already set scenario where they're kind of just giving out a sheet, basically, of what... It's kind of like in the regular job field, I guess there's people that... there's also like agents that deal with like selling other people to companies as well. Like they just have like a big sheet, you know, they kind of just go through it, and it's kind of like that. That's how agents work, and it's kind of by word of mouth for the most part. And you see on Twitter and stuff like that, you're like, oh, this agency's doing so well, they're so great. And then they come to you and they kind of rip you off, and they give you like a kind of weird deal where there not really helping you that much, you know. And it's kind of, that's the scenario that happens. And I think a lot more players need to be focused on doing that themselves. And it's harder. Like, what are you supposed to do? You just turned 18. What are you going to go out there and market yourselves to these organizations and stuff like that yourself? That seems a little bit spooky, you know. It's like, I need an agent. But when you get older, like only even a couple years older, like I'm 22, and I realized that, like, okay, you don't even need a fucking agent. You could do this shit yourself for the most part. Like, you could pay a one-time fee to have them negotiate your contract for you at the very beginning. That's probably the best deal, instead of just, oh, here's $5,000 or here's $10,000, here's $50,000 at the end of the year that I just didn't even utilize, you know? And that's the kind of scenario that's going on. Okay, on to other depressing news, because Woeful Wednesday, that's what happens here, okay? It's very depressed, very sad, everybody cry. TSM ImperialHal has gotten swatted, boys. That's kind of... Why? Who fucking does that shit, man? Don't swat people, bro. Is it that fucking... Do you have to be that smart and that, like, big brain to know to not swat people? Or are these just pure degenerates, Anthony? Who are these people that are swatting, like, ImperialHal, like the Creatures? Me and Max used to watch Creatures back in the day. Like, a bunch of other people. People have died from swatting, man. Like, what the hell is the point of doing this?
It's just not right. Like, I just don't understand why people would even do it.
No, and what he's... Oh, yeah?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, he said, I think ImperialHal said that it was scary, but at the same time, they were very civil. Like, the police, the guys that showed up weren't actually like upset or anything like that. They were just like, okay, your plan, this happens. You know, it's kind of weird that it's a norm now that people get swatted, and the cops know. They're like, when you show up, you're like, oh yeah, okay, you know, you're just playing games. This is what happens when weirdos your streams and stuff like that and get you swatted. But like, that shouldn't even be a thing in the first place, right?
No, definitely not. I don't. When did this start happening to begin with?
Bro, all the way back in like 2010. Like, I think seriously, like all the way back. Like, I know the biggest case was when I think Max used to watch The Creatures, right? So The Creatures was like a big. It was like one of the first like community groups on YouTube, almost like full of content creators and stuff like that, just like playing Minecraft and a bunch of other games and stuff. And they were pretty much, they had a house together and they would do podcasts and shows and stuff like that. And they eventually got swatted, and that got huge news and huge press everywhere. And that was kind of the first case of like big swatting news. And then recently somebody even died from swatting. Like a cop showed up to the door and then I think like killed the guy. And then that became huge news, and that became a big thing that they talked about. And that's kind of the start of where it's all kind of ended, like where people have been like, okay, this is what swatting can do. When I do swatting, and the people that do this 100%, I think they know, like, this can end up in a death. And they don't really give a shit because they're just dumb degenerates across the world, and with some sort of like, I don't know, 10 different VPNs or whatever they're hiding behind, or what, I don't even know what they do, but they're just degenerates, man. Like it's full on bad behavior, and it's just terrible. It really is just terrible. And the fact, like, this guy's went through a good scenario. Like, don't get me wrong, this guy went through a fine scenario where the police were definitely civil and he didn't get killed, obviously, so that's good news. But that shouldn't be the best news. It shouldn't happen in the goddamn first place. I don't know. He just he ended it, and they ended it. He continued streaming, and that's just the scenario what happened. Just don't swat people, man. Don't fucking swat people. And I'm not even that big. Listen, I'm not as big of a degenerate as these guys are. This is ridiculous. Swatting at this degree, swatting this continuously in the gaming community, it shouldn't even be known for this, man. You shouldn't be swatting people. I mean, I'm sure the people watching this know not to swat people. And I'm sure people I guess you can't really count humanity out for being stupid, right? Like I think Anthony said this the other day, like, humans are just stupid people, man. Like, they'll do some stupid shit and you don't expect it, right?
I mean, yeah. I don't understand people at all, right?
They be dumb.
Yeah, they're just stupid. I just don't like anything.
Well, people are dumber than you think. It's just what it is. Like, people, like, you'd assume, I guess, as a kid or as like somebody that's not very mature, you'd be like, oh, you know, people can't be that dumb, right? No, there's like, for every one person out of 100, they're probably completely, you know, brain damaged and completely assholes or whatever on the inside, where they'll just do whatever it takes to just ruin other people's lives, pretty much, right? Or probably more than that. Probably one in every 10 people or more, right?
I mean,
somehow
it's like
they find enjoyment out of this too.
Yeah. It's like it's one of those comments you hear. It's like assume the average person's pretty stupid, right? And then you assume, like, so that's average. So half of the people in the world are just worse than that. It's awful.
100 IQ, right?
Yeah.
And then the rest of that are just like 70 and below, pretty much. And those guys are there could be smart people that are also being dickholes. You know, it doesn't take just a dumb
sometimes
person.
People are just assholes.
Yeah, some people are just naturally born assholes, and whether that's, you know, how they were raised or whatever is another debate. But still, like, that's pretty fucking bad. You don't swap people, man. Come on, dude. Why you gotta? What?
It might be coming back. It might come to you now.
What do you, Max? Why you gotta put that on us, dude? This is really you just ruined the show, Max. You and fucking just saying bad shit.
Saying you gotta
ruining our
careful.
show. You're cursing our show, Max. You're cursing our show just with what you say, dude. It's gonna happen. It's a woeful Wednesday, bro. It's gonna happen to us. We're about to be all swatted. We're all shit, man. Don't even. That's even a bad jinx, man. That's a bad jinx. Anyways, on to even more terrible news. FNX actually posted apparently a sex tape with him and his streamer known as Alpha in a group chat, and she recently made this huge post in Brazilian or Portuguese on Brazilian on Twitter, exposing him pretty much. And pretty much the whole scenario has gotten a little bit weird, to be honest with you. People have been asking for the OnlyFans of this girl now, and people have been asking for both of their OnlyFans to get this together and create their own porno, I guess. I don't exactly know. I don't entirely get it. FNX has had some issues in the past. Now, not as bad as another guy in the scene. I think it was, I don't remember his name, but there's another Brazilian player that actually gone through some even worse things. But this guy has been literally kicked from teams, from SK and now MIBR, obviously, like that. SK then rebranded, as in the past they were pretty much a whole Brazilian team, then became the mixed team, and then now they're back to being full Brazilian. Anyway, it's a whole scenario there, a whole storyline, and pretty much FNX was kicked from SK for quote-unquote getting too close to teammates' girlfriends. And this has kind of been a weird scenario because, like, why would you even like hit on a teammate's girlfriend, bro? Like, come on, man. That's bro code right there. You don't hit on your friend's girlfriend, dude. I mean, that's just messed up. That's just absolutely fucked up. And I mean, I guess they might not be friends. There may be coworkers and stuff like that. That's probably even worse. That's even a worse scenario. It's happened in Call of Duty with Haggy, with Parasite. He was even kicked from teams before. That's why he's not in the CDLs, because of his past reputation in that. In the fact that he's even been like even in that scenario where he's just been proven to be a terrible teammate, to kind of just hit on teammates' girlfriends and stuff like that. That's like kind of strange. It's kind of weird. And yeah, she's very upset because it was non-consensual as well. And it was not like they both agreed on it and stuff like that. It's kind of turned into a joke where it probably shouldn't be, I suppose. It definitely has turned into a joke where it shouldn't be. And these guys have kind of just been trying to, I don't know, expose FNX for being an asshole in this scenario, where he pretty much just posted in this chat and in a group chat, and it was just absolutely terrible. But like, still, like, come on, man. That's just, the whole scenario is weird. And the fact that FNX has even been caught messaging teammates' girlfriends in itself is just strange, bro. He's just a weird guy. Max and Andy, what do you guys take on this, dude?
Got what he deserved.
He got what he deserved?
So you're saying that this guy just leaked a sex tape without the girl knowing?
Yeah, pretty much, in the group chat.
Is that not illegal in that country?
I don't know, dude. I mean, it probably is, but I imagine, I mean, we're not going to get too into Brazil too much here, because if I'm not mistaken, Brazilians, the Brazilian esport community is very much so one of those like very passionate fans. You know what I'm saying? Very passionate. I'll leave that in air quotes for you to kind of interpret, Max.
Brazilian Dogman fans out there?
Maybe, actually. I think so. Yeah, and I think for the most part, at least in the Brazilian scene, there's been some players that tried to break into the Overwatch League. I think there was a guy named A. Lamau that actually got into the Overwatch League and then pretty much got bounced out the next year. And there's been a couple players in the past that have had scenarios. I think one of the top esport teams in Brazil was known for being kind of racist. Like, one of the top Overwatch teams in Brazil was known for being kind of like terrible in terms of people. And because of that, a couple of them didn't get picked up for the Overwatch League. There was a whole drama behind that. There wasn't a lot of news surrounding that. But there's kind of like that scenario where a lot of what happens in the Brazilian esports community kind of gets tainted. And it's not really on them. It's just kind of what happens in the community, I guess, and in esports. It's a little bit interesting that they've had such a weird and profound impact on the esports scene, whereas it's kind of been the same thing in like soccer and stuff like that. And for the most part, they do have those laws that prevent that kind of stuff from happening, I'm pretty sure, Max. But obviously nothing's happened yet, and she's had to come forward on Twitter about it, and that's kind of the scenario that's happened, right?
Yeah, I guess she just has to use those laws and press charges. I don't know anything about Brazilian law, but on the other hand, it seems like the team did the right response. Including messing with the teammates' girlfriends. I don't know. Yeah, he's not. Well,
he's playing on Imperial Gaming right now, and he really hasn't been in the limelight since he was on SK. That was the team he was on in 2016, when they were actually like a solid team, and he was on like a premier player. But for the most part, yeah, since then it's kind of been downhill. And I don't know, maybe
So he's a big name there.
Yeah, he is a big name in Brazil. He was a top player almost in Brazil. I mean, he wasn't as big as like Fallen or Taco or Cold Zero, for example. Cold Zero is like one of the best players of all time in Counterstrike. I don't know if he's going to be on that kind of scenario. And now I don't really know. I mean, he like you said, he hasn't been relevant since 2016 really, and for the most part, it's been not great. It's not been great news for him. since then. And it's been a downward trajectory, which he wasn't even a bad player. He's just old now. You know, that's kind of what happens. He's like 30 or something like that. Like, he's a grown adult. So he probably should know better than to post a sex tape in a group chat non-consensually. Or non-consensually, man. I can't speak. Anyway, there's a new... Yeah, we can take some viewer questions. I imagine there's going to be some stuff about today. What's going on in the news, Daniel? Do you want to talk about it? Or we can... Okay, we're going to just bring up some questions here potentially in the next little bit. And yeah, I don't know, man. This whole Counterstrike scenario has been interesting. It's been interesting for me. We're waiting on some questions here, but we can move on to the next topic. And like personally, I've been a big fan of Counterstrike, and we can go to the next topic here, which is Dignitas's new logo. Dignitas has posted a brand new logo to kind of be a modern era scenario like logo. Like their old logo was good. It was basically this green alien with like yellow eyes, and I liked it a lot. I was a big fan of this logo back in 2014 when the old Astralis guys were relabeled as Dignitas and TSM. When they were on the team, Team Dignitas, that was my favorite team. That wasn't NA. That was my favorite team, and they would never win any majors or win any tournaments because they were known as kind of chokers back then. But they changed their logo to like an owl from that alien. And then they changed the owl back to the alien, but in a more like graphics design centric like logo, and it looks, I don't know, I don't really like it too much. I like the old logo. It's kind of like different. It was, I get it wasn't like entirely good for graphics design. It's not really modern, and it does kind of look like a startup tech company's logo, as we mentioned with LCS's thing the other day. But at the same time, I liked it a lot. I liked the logo. Like, it was kind of, it's nostalgia for me. I get that. I totally understand that it might be nostalgia because I was a big Counter-Strike fan back in high school. But like for the most part, I didn't like the change of the owl because the alien was so iconic. It was just an iconic logo at that point. Like, why change it up? There's no point in going to a completely different logo that doesn't even look like your last one. And the owl itself, like, it's just lame, bro. It's literally just an owl, bro. It was terrible. And then they knew that, and they changed back to the aliens. Good for them. Good for them that they changed it back. But I still think the original one with the gray logo was better. I mean, what do you guys think about this new logo on the bottom right here? Do you guys like it? Do you like the new logo, or do you think it's a little bit too generic?
I like it. It's nice and generic.
And
it's nice and generic.
It's the Dignitas that I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's still not as... It's just a freaking... It's just like... I just don't like it, man. It's just like having to stick to the modern era of design. Do you really have to? Like, in order to have a successful logo, does it really need to be that lame and that generic?
Maybe, but I see it as a definite improvement of what they had before with like the owl and the shield and stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like a soccer like emblem. Or
okay.
Whatever.
But, okay, I understand I'm probably being too negative here because it is a Wolf of Wednesday. I totally get that. You know, they went from good logo to bad logo back to good logo, so they are on the up. You know, they are on the up in the graph here. But for the most part, you know, I don't like it. I just don't think... I think it's too generic. I think it's just because you made a logo that's good for the modern era, just because it's slick, just because it's designed graph-friendly or whatever. Like NYXO's logo. I understand people are liking it now because of what they've done with it, but... it's still not that, like, don't do it just to do it, man. Like, you could do a better job creating a logo, doing a classic design rather than a new design just because just to fit in. Like, you don't need to do it just to fit in. Like, maybe I'm a boomer here. You know, I could entirely be a boomer on this scenario. I totally get that. But I don't even like the modern design that much. I don't think it's worth like dropping creative design for. You know what I'm saying? Listen, like, we've been over this the other day. I'm not a graphics designer. Okay, I'm not a design major or whatever. I never will be, never will want to be. I totally get that. But, like, come on, man. Do a better job being original, in my opinion. You're bringing back your original design. I like that. I get that. But something about the gray alien just really gets me going, man. It just really gets my blood pumping for that old Danish squad in 2014. Zipniks, ya boys. Dude, I miss that team so much, man. 2014 Counter-Strike, by the way, in my opinion, golden era Counter-Strike. I think some people would say 2016 was pretty good as well for Counter-Strike, but in my opinion, 2014 was some of the most enjoyable Counter-Strike I've ever seen. A lot of the most news and a lot of the most events of that era actually happened, and a lot of those players are still around today. So good for them. I mean, I've always been a huge Counter-Strike fan. Probably my number one esport of all time in terms of my enjoyment levels. I always have loved it so much, personally. And Oh, cool. Yeah, what's going on, Daniel? What's the question? What's going on?
All right. So, as y'all may not have known, we had to reschedule with John Spector due to a couple of the current events that are happening on his side. We had a question that came through specifically for him, but I think this will do really well with the rest of you on the panel as well. So, from user Albert Price, for John, other than Overwatch, of course, what games do you enjoy to play?
So that was for John, and then we'll answer it too. So basically what happened was John had some, obviously, events come up today, and he just was like, okay, we'll postpone it next Friday. So today, we'll talk about our favorite games. Us, in terms of Max and Anthony, we've been liking playing Stardew Valley as of late. I've been liking playing some like shitty new games on Steam. I know me and Anthony always had the problem where we'd like go onto Steam's top sellers and it'd just be the same games over and over again, and we try to like look for new games. So I've kind of taken it upon myself to like look at the new games list and kind of just look at I just kind of sift through like the shitty games. And I've always kind of been like I don't know how to say it. I've been a hipster. A contrarian, as the boys know, and I kind of like looking for that new shit that nobody knows about. Like I do the same on Spotify. Like on Spotify, I always go to my Discover Weekly and try to find like the new like artists that have under like 100,000 plays and stuff like that. It's just fun for me, and I like to find like cool songs that nobody knows about. You know what I'm saying? Cool games that nobody knows about, and that's what I've been trying to do. And unfortunately for me, there's literally none. There's like all the games I've played so far that I spent like $10, $20, $50 on have been complete trash. They're not good. There's no good games on Steam. They post terrible games there. I don't understand how Steam gets away with posting these shitty games. There's literally games that are just meant to clickbait and to force people's money out of their pocket. I don't like it. I don't get it. But there's not really that many good games on Steam. Anthony, Max, what are your guys' favorite games right now, though? I mean, I know my games have been a little bit different choice-wise than your guys'.
I've been playing StarCraft 2 again. Just picked that back up.
Oh, dead game?
Oh, dead game.
Not dead game?
I mean, it's a little bit.
I mean, is it Faceless and Artosis? They do a really good job
Faceless?
Tasteless. Wait. What did I say?
Faceless?
Faceless. Oh, my God. Anyway, they do a good job casting StarCraft 2. I still enjoy StarCraft 2 as a whole. It's still fun to watch back whenever I watch StarCraft 2. Dongmin, the translator for the Atlanta Range, showed me it, and I've honestly had a fun time watching it. I would never play it with Anthony, though. I know he wants me to. But for the most part, yeah, StarCraft is a very hard game, very APM. It's important to have high APM, and I don't really have that in my back pocket. You know what I'm saying? I was terrible at Warcraft 3, terrible at StarCraft 2. I'll play the custom games, though. The custom games are pretty good. Custom games are pretty fun.
I don't actually play any of the Valorant that I watch Brian play. My younger brother, because he's just better.
He's just better than you?
Yeah, I'll just watch him and his friends play.
Yeah.
It's content for me.
StarCraft 2, it's a good game. I mean, it's been around for a while. It's just kind of taken a weird turn viewership-wise, I suppose. Maxwell, what's your favorite game right now?
Right now, I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk despite all the glitches and
Oh, you didn't beat it yet?
No.
Wow.
You want me to spoil it?
I take my time on this. No.
I'm going to spoil it right now.
Shut up right now.
So in the end, Johnny doesn't die. Dies. Who knows what happens at the end of the game? I'm not spoiling that.
Endings.
Yeah, there is multiple endings. Okay, that's a spoiler right there, guys. I'm sorry for spoiling. There is multiple endings. I don't know if you wanted to be spoiled on that. But yes, Cyberpunk was a good game. I played it. I tried to speedrun it, and I gave up halfway through. I was like 6 hours into a speedrun, and I noticed that like people finished the game in 3 hours, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. This game's terrible to speedrun. There's too many cutscenes, too much shit going on. It's just so boring. Like, fuck that shit, man. Honestly, I mean, I understand speedrunners. I like it, but not for Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk was an incredibly boring game to speedrun, to be honest. But all right, let's move on here, boys. No, yeah, I definitely don't have a bias for this scenario at all. I mean, I don't know. New topic here, boys. Okay, this one I was the most interested in before we started the stream because I personally have been enjoying the fuck out of the Fortnite competitive scene. I think that they have a lot of interesting figures, a lot of interesting personalities, a lot of cool storylines happening. Although their subreddit's a little bit weird, the Valorant competitive subreddit's a little bit weird, but I mean, for the most part, they do a good job making it entertaining, to be honest with you. And Canada has been banned. A 14-year-old Fortnite professional player has been banned from YouTube after literally 10 minutes of going live. Literally 10 minutes after going live. First, originally, this kid was 14 years old and got signed by TSM and then was banned from Twitch for some stuff in the past. I think there was a scenario with Tim the Tatman that didn't go down very smoothly, and he got banned from Twitch and then TSM dropped him because TSM's main sponsor is Twitch. So then he went to YouTube to go stream there, and immediately after signing on YouTube, he got banned after 10 minutes. He signed with an organization known as BBG, built by gamers, and he got banned within 10 minutes, man. Like, this guy was obviously somehow breaking the code, breaking their rules on YouTube, and he got banned immediately. I mean, people know him as being toxic, I suppose. Like, every thread I've seen about this kid has been very toxic, I guess. Like, he's very controversial. But you have to bear in mind, this kid's 14. And Anthony Max, what do you guys think about, like, for example, there's kids that are under 18 years old that have been through very controversial scenarios where they've been very toxic. Sinatra, for example, was very toxic before he got into Overwatch League, and a lot of people didn't like him for not reforming before then. Do you think that there should be a chance for kids that are like under 18 to reform and to kind of go on the right path and to mature, or do you think that they should always be condemned for the rest of their careers?
I mean, not for the rest of their careers, but, you know, clearly they need to show that they've like grown as a person before they should be allowed into a competitive league.
That's what I think. It seems like the controversy happened too early, and that probably still reflects on who he is right now. But yeah, later on, he's still a kid, and I guess he shouldn't be canceled as like a 14-year-old right now.
No,
Maybe,
he really. Oh yeah.
Maybe just don't let people under 18, you know, be on a team.
Well, that's the thing, is that the majority of Fortnite scene, I guess, is under 18, right? So what do they do?
That's crazy. Like, Overwatch League has the 18 plus rule, right?
Yeah, it's kind of varied.
Does LCS have that, or?
Yeah, I think LCS has that as well. And it's because, you know, I think because it's a league, it's a little bit of a different scenario. Because Fortnite is not necessarily like a set, you know, season that goes on. It's kind of like just what happens within, you know, different tournaments, different events. You know, there's the World Cup, obviously. It didn't happen this year. But, you know, they have little tournaments and events, and I guess you can be any age to compete in that. And he's done really good, by the way, for being a 14-year-old kid. I mean, he's played in a few big tournaments recently. He won 2 Cash Cups, won the 1% Cup, won a Frosty Frenzy, and he's placed well in multiple of these other tournaments as well. Like, he's won, we went over this before the stream, he went over $100,000 he's already won in the past 2 months. As a 14-year-old kid. As a 14-year-old kid, he's won that. It's like sugar free in Overwatch as well. Like, that's a lot of money for a 14-year-old kid to be making. It's ridiculous. I don't know. What do you think, Max, about that? Being 14 and having $100,000? What would you do if you were 14 and $100K in your pocket?
I thought it wasn't. Like, don't the parents have to collect that? If you're under 18 and you win money, then you have to have your parents legally collect it.
Yeah, I think they do.
Are you even allowed to have a job like under 16?
I think you can if you're 15 with like one of those food licenses or something like that, right? Like there's like a license that you could get paid, like if you like need to work or whatever. You could be like 15 and go work at McDonald's or some shit. If you have like a license, like a food license, I think it is. I could be entirely wrong on that, and I'll bite the bullet on that if that is the case. But yeah, the kid's 14 and playing. I mean, Sugar Free was the same. Sugar Free was also playing at 14, 13 years old in Overwatch. He was playing on an academy team. He flew to Korea. This 14-year-old kid flew to Korea to compete in a tournament, and his esports earnings has been really high since then. Unfortunately, he's just so young that he can't play in Overwatch League. But apparently, you can compete in Fortnite tournaments. So I think just change to Fortnite. Change to Fortnite or Valorant.
Like hundreds of thousands of dollars at 14, you're probably set for life at then if you're actually smart about it.
If you invest it, you think that how much would you how much? Yeah, you can just invest 100,000. I mean, I doubt he's investing it though. He might be buying like super expensive like souped up bikes or something.
There's no way that he has financial like mindset at 14.
Well, that's what you said. His parents were controlling the money, right? Like maybe they're reinvesting it for him.
Oh, I sure hope they are.
Yeah, or either that or they're stealing his money right now. Maybe that's why he's so toxic. He's lashing out because his parents keep taking his money.
Like, what do you even want at 14? You can't drive cars, so you can't buy cars.
Bro, a nice computer.
Buy a house.
A nice computer. I think you just want to grow up.
That's like $2,000.
Not if you're spending on what I am.
Oh boy.
I think at 14, I think I just wanted to grow up, dude. I think I just wanted to be an adult. And then I think that's what happens to every kid for the most part. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, apparently, Daniel gave us a stat that apparently child working laws allow between 14 and 16-year-olds to work with like limited hours in specific jobs. But how do you even count hours in esports? Because you're just playing a video game, right? Like, how do you count that?
Is that even a job? Until you
if you're it's a job when you go to the tournament, yeah.
It's just like winnings, right? It's like a competition. It's not really.
Well, if you're getting salary. Well, no. But he was on salary. He got signed by TSM and he got signed by Built by Gamers. So he was getting a salary 100%. So, but there's no working hours for that.
He really has to like pay taxes and stuff, like on a W-2.
Yeah, and Sam said that he was apparently contracted to Cloud9, but it was terminated because he was too young. Yet he still got contracts from other people too. And yeah, his parents would have to sign the W-2 and stuff like that, I think, and then take the taxes and whatever else that he had to take out of it. But it's pretty crazy. It is pretty crazy because he's been a really impactful player in squads and duos. And he's with some pretty good teammates now. Now that he's on BBG, people are saying this roster is pretty damn good. It has Bucky, Creo, and Calc, and now Khanada. Like, this team is really good. This kid has put up insane, like, tournament winnings. Within 2 months, this 14-year-old kid has just competed for 2 months, and he's already earned $100,000. That's, like, more than Jake has earned his entire career, dude. That's crazy. just off of tournament winnings. That's fucking insane. But, you know, Fortnite's in for you, man. Fortnite's in.
I would say to him that he has the skill, so he doesn't have to do this toxic stuff. He can just carry it all the way there.
It's kind of the situation you grew up in, though, right? Like, it's not really based entirely on him. It's based around the people he's been hanging out with, probably, I imagine. Where it's just like maybe he's hanging out with older people because he's so good. He has to hang out with people that are, 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are playing the game. And they're probably, yelling cuss words, being toxic, whatever. Like, I'm pretty sure the gang he's hung out with before are known for being toxic.
Grew up on watching XQC or something.
No, XQC's, well, I guess he is pretty toxic. Went over this yesterday, I guess. I mean, listen, is competition, is being an overly competitive person like that bad for society? I mean, Anthony would say yes, I think. Anthony would say, yeah, being a toxic asshole is definitely a bad thing. But to the degree of being banned on Twitch and YouTube, that's pretty nuts for a 14-year-old kid to already be banned from Twitch and YouTube, bro. Like, that's pretty insane. All right, so I guess we'll move on to our last topic of the day, though. Not talking about Fortnite anymore. Fortnite's done. It's in the past. Okay, we're talking about Overwatch once again. And Overwatch, big news in my opinion. Nobody's talked about this. Why has nobody talked about this? Why is this not over the news pages going on right now? Why has Rascal not gotten signed to an Overwatch League team? I think I can explain why right now. I think Rascal's impact on Shock was overly stated. I think on other teams in the past, London Spitfire, I think he was solid, was then dropped for toxicity reasons or not. No, maybe not London Spitfire. I think on London Spitfire he was decent. Then on Dallas Fuel he was dropped for being toxic and then got re-picked up for the Shock. And then for that team, I think he had, mediocre to all right results. I mean, like, to be honest, they tried to sign Tayo to pretty much fill Rascal's position. That was the whole point of signing Tayo, wasn't it? To try and fill Rascal's position, try to replace that role, that flex DPS role, the Genji, the Hanzo, the whatever else he needed to play. But the problem is that they had Ons and Striker, and Ons was already like an insane hitscam player. He was already insane on Widowmaker. But for the most part, like, I don't know, he Striker was just better than Rascal and Tayo and Super, even when Super played Genji. He was just better than them at all those characters because Striker's impact was so huge that it was bigger than any other player on his team. Maybe not on Widowmaker, but Striker could pretty much play every other role to a higher level than both of their other DPS players. And that's the tough part. That's the tough part because, hero pools are getting more limited. Rascal in himself has been not performing as well to as high enough standard. Like, I remember I was playing scrims against Shock, and we were playing, and at first they had Tayo in, they subbed him out for Rascal, then they had Rascal in, and he was on Sombra, and he would just stay out of stealth for way too long, and he'd just get domed, he would just get taken the fuck out, and then he would just keep going back to spawn, keep coming back, and he kept having the same issues pretty much. And then when they sub Striker back in, so pretty much Shock would lose maps when they put Rascal in. Then they would sub Striker in for these maps and scrims, and then they would absolutely just dominate. Like, Striker would just absolutely absolutely balls to the wall. Listen, I think people know at this point, me and Striker have some beef, back and forth beef here, but I mean, it's fine, no big deal. Striker's impact cannot be understated. Striker is probably the best player in Overwatch right now, in my opinion, besides, I don't know why Striker's not gotten the recognition he should be getting right now. Like, whenever Striker's in, Shock wins. Like, just to be frank, just to be 100% frank, Violet's really good, Super's really good, Choibin's really good, all these players are really good, not talking down them at all. But the thing is, whenever Striker's in, that team just wins. Like, Striker wants to win more than any other player I think I know. And he's been a big reason that I think that team has had internal struggles as well. Like, I think Striker wants to win so bad that he'll like baby rage pretty much like that. He'll kind of pull a decay and be very angry with his team. He'll have that inner arguments with his team for the most part. And Striker has just been such a big factor that they kind of put up with that. And he doesn't get enough recognition. Like, Striker doesn't get enough recognition as probably the best player in Overwatch. Like, he just doesn't get that right. Like, even if he's not as mechanically skilled at Zarya, at Genji, at whatever else, he has that Sinatra mindset where he just got to go in and carry. Like, he's just going to go in, he's going to go balls to the wall, he doesn't give a shit about who you are, he doesn't give a shit about what he's playing, what you're playing, whatever else. He's just going to go balls to the wall aggressive, and he's going to fuck your day up. No matter what he's playing, even if he's not that good at Genji, he's still going to be better than Rascal and Tayo on it just because of the play style that he plays at. Even if mechanically he's a little bit, weaker, it doesn't matter because he knows how to play his role and he knows how to play that carry character. And that's kind of been the hole that Shock needed to fill the whole year, was when Sinatra left. Sinatra was kind of in that carry role. Sinatra was the person that was playing super aggressive, playing super in your face, and Striker has that as well. It's a little bit nuts why people don't rate Striker that high. And I know this is talking about Rascal, but it kind of leads into that because Rascal isn't being picked up by an Overwatch League team right now. He's not. Like, that's just the fact of the matter right now, is nobody's announced it yet. So is Rascal in Overwatch League? I don't think so. What's he going to do after? Is he going to retire? Is he going to pull a J-Hung and retire right now? And he's going to go into streaming or something like that? I think he could. Rascal's a very interesting person. He has a very interesting voice. I think he's an awesome dude. I met him before at the Philly LAN. I'm really happy, or not Philly LAN, at the Philly Finals, 2 years ago. And I think overall he's a really nice person, a really great player, but at the same time, like, it's tough. It's a tough scenario right now for Striker or for Rascal because he's not in Overwatch League anymore, and he might not be. And I don't know if he will be. Like, yes, you could say that he's better than the top half of the Overwatch League. Like, he's in the top half players in Overwatch League. But is he gonna win you a championship? Is Rascal playing gonna win you a championship? Because if you think about it, Striker and Sinatra were starting back in the first season, in the season 2 when they won Overwatch League, and then season 3 when they won Overwatch League, it was Striker and Ons. So does Rascal really have a place here? I don't really know. I don't really know if he has a place in the Overwatch League and if he's going to win you a championship, because teams should be signing players that are good enough to win them a championship. And I don't want to rag on Rascal too much here, but at the same time, I don't know if he's going to win you Overwatch League. It's just like you don't know if I don't know who else is a good player that hasn't been signed yet. I think like Aim God. Like, is Aim God good enough to win you Overwatch League? I don't know. I don't know if Aim God's good enough to win you Overwatch League, but he's going to be there. He's going to be an impactful player. He's going to be strong, maybe top half of the league. But at the same time, is he going to win you Overwatch League? And that's what people need to understand, is that, like, you want players like Super, like Choibin, like Striker, like Decay. Players that are going to win you Overwatch League, players that are going to be so impactful that you're willing to put up with their negatives to win you the Overwatch League. And that's what teams and players have been doing all across this whole time. It's just generally a sports tradition where you kind of put up with people's negatives if they're that good. I don't know what else happened with Sinatra. Sinatra's toxicity. They put up with the negatives, with the bad press with Sinatra, with the bad negativity coming along with him to sign him in Overwatch League and to have him perform. Doublelift with his negative trash talk, with that kind of stuff. But he performs and he does really well, and he's one of the best players in League of Legends, or was one of the best players in League of Legends. So we'll keep him going. We'll keep him going. We'll keep going with him even if he hasn't performed as of late. We'll keep starting with him. We'll keep trying to hope he comes out back with the vintage form of Doublelift. There's been a lot of other scenarios with that as well, with Counterstrike, with Stewie 2K. This kid's an up-and-comer. He does a very weird and different playstyle, but we're going to put aside his negatives and try him out and try to see if he's that good, because he is that good. And some of these guys are that good that you just want to put aside their negatives and continue with it. And I don't know if Rascal is one of those players, to be honest with you. I just don't. But guys, that's all for topics today. If we have any questions, Daniel, you can pop in. This is usually when we have guests, but as we said, John couldn't make it today. There was unfortunate situations going on in real life, obviously, going on outside this, but we're not a political YouTube channel. I'm not here to touch on any of that stuff. I'm not here to, get our hands dirty and that kind of stuff because, listen, I'm just here to talk about esports, okay? I'm here to talk about drama in the esports scene, in video games, and stuff like that, live stream fails and stuff, okay? I'm not here to talk about traditional, normal human being stuff. We're not normal people. Anthony touched on it earlier. We're degenerates. We're total degenerates here, okay? We wake up at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. You wake up at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, okay? So it depends. It depends. We're just on the degenerate schedule. We're on the degenerate life. We're gamers, okay? And I don't know. Speaking of which, actually, that reminds me. Gamers actually don't have that healthy of a lifestyle. Like, we're eating Taco Bell all day. We're eating some bad, greasy foods. Like, Anthony, what's your diet right now? What's your diet right now?
I can cook.
Okay, you can cook, but what's your diet right now?
I don't want to talk about it. Leave the show.
Okay, there you go. See what I mean? But I was in a weird, worse actually diet back when I tried to actually play professionally. Pretty much back in like 2016, like when I was big into Counterstrike when I was graduating high school and stuff like that. It was 2016 when we graduated, right? So
yeah.
Pretty much around then, I think the summer of 2016, before I went professional in Overwatch, I was playing Counterstrike all day, and I'd pretty much right after summer break, or during the school year, even when I went home to play Counterstrike, I would always walk to Circle K, and I'd always get the biggest fucking Circle K is a gas station, by the way, and I would always get the like $1.64 ounce, I think it was, right, of Mountain Dew or whatever. I would get that every day. 79 cents for a freaking 64 ounce of Mountain Dew. And I was just this kid, like 17-year-old kid that would just walk home with it. I'd walk all the way back home with my drink, just drink it the whole way. And by the time I was home, I'd just be fucking pumped up, be super energized, with all the sugar, with all the caffeine in my system. And I would just go and play all day. And it was just not healthy. I got to be real. But that's the gamer lifestyle, bro. That's the gamer, setup, right?
Yeah.
And that's,
you ruined your acid reflux and everything.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Summer.
It literally, I think I'm just over it now, but like over like that entire course of the past like 3 years and 4 years, my body was like trying to recover from drinking that much Mountain Dew and eating that much junk food.
It was like gallons of Mountain Dew every week.
Yeah. Every day I drank a 64 ounce. That adds up to gallons per week pretty much. Not good for the stomach lining. And in fact, over the past like 4 years straight, I had like stomach issues. I'd be like burping constantly. I'd always like the back of my throat. I'd always feel like there's like a fucking giant slime ball back there. You know what I mean? Now that's cleared up. I've cleared up the diet. Okay, 100%. That's what we need to like kind of get across here is that actually cleaning up your diet. Who would have thunk that eating healthier foods and trying to live a healthier lifestyle actually impacts your daily living conditions? Who would have thunk, man?
Who'd have thunk?
Who would have thunk that actually living?
Probably improves your gaming too.
I don't know. It probably does. I mean, that's why esports teams. I think there was an article recently that we've read. If we could pop it up eventually, is that gamers and pro gamers are actually healthier than the average person. That's what the article basically said. The article basically said that gamers are actually healthier than the average person. Now, I don't know if that's entirely true. Like pro gamers, not just your traditional everyday, gamer, like just pro gamers. And I don't know if that's entirely true, but I think a lot of organizations have been investing in like esports psychiatrists, like personal trainers and stuff like that. I know in our list, yes, it was by studyfinds.org. It was about esport gamers being esport pros being healthier than the average person. Now, I don't really know if this isn't that impactful. I know at the Atlanta Reign in season 2 of Overwatch League, they hired a personal coach for us. They hired a personal chef for us. We had a personal psychiatrist that would talk to us, a sports psychiatrist that would talk to us every month. I can kind of talk on the impact of each of them. I can tell you the most important one by far, in my opinion, in everybody else in esports, in everybody else's scene's opinion. The number one person that was actually the most impactful for us was our chef. We had Chef Alex was his name. He was our chef when we lived in the Thousand Oaks Hills and we lived in a mansion back on the Atlanta Reign team. He fed us every day. He fed us 2 to 3 meals a day, sometimes breakfast, sometimes he would just feed us lunch and dinner. And he'd have snacks out. But that was also when I was at my unhealthiest, to be fair. But the fact that I just had a consistent food source was actually crazy. Like he would just leave out basically like Rice Krispies and a bunch of snacks and stuff like that on the counter. And in the fridge, he would have like layers and layers of like the Cokes and Fanta oranges and all like the actually unhealthy sodas in the fridge and stuff like that. And really, I don't think I ever ate leftovers like once. Like he would literally just cook for us 3 times a day. It was great. It was great. You guys would have loved it, man. It's like free food. It was cooking for the Koreans too, because he had a mix between cooking foods that were good for our Korean players and then also good for the Western players. So he had a mix between both. But by far, the most impactful thing that a esports team can do for their team is hire a chef. Because pro players don't want to cook for themselves. They're just gaming all day. They're already spending their entire lives just 12 hours a day playing video games, watching YouTube, whatever else you do with your life as a normal adolescence, playing video games all day. And I think that's one of the most beneficial things. It wasn't healthy. I don't think it was healthy necessarily. He tried to cook us healthy food. He tried to cook with like coconut oil and other bullshit like that, keeping us strong, keeping us healthy. But it wasn't. To be honest with you, I was very much unhealthy. I was probably the most unhealthy I was in season 2 is when I didn't work out very much, and I was just drinking like 5 sodas a day. Like, what are you supposed to do, man? If you have Coke in your fridge, if you have a Coke in a damn freaking glass bottle in your fridge, you're gonna drink it, right? Like, why would you not, man? It's just the factor is there.
I mean, I'm going to.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to be that unhealthy kid. Gamer water, exactly. Yeah, I think Dawko actually, speaking about Dawko again, Dawko would have like 10 Cokes on his desk. Ooh. Oh, man, there was some disgusting shit that happened in that house. I guess I could go on this story. So we had, originally we played in one room here in this mansion. It was like a massive living room with it was like the fireplace. It was like the main living room here next to the kitchen. And it was, I don't know how many, I guess the way to phrase it, it was like these tables. There was like tables this big that were on hydraulics, like you can move them up and down. It was the really fancy tables. And there was about maybe 7 of them, maybe 8 of them in one row. Like, that's how big the room was, that there was like 8 on each side, if that makes sense. And it was like this big living space in these big rooms. And eventually what happened was we would scrim our B team, or like we had an A team and a B team basically on the Atlanta team. And because sometimes we wouldn't have scrim partners, so we would need to get another scrim and another practice rather. So we'd do internal scrims with our B team, and we were like, okay, this is kind of tough because we can hear each other. We can hear each other's communications because we're right next to each other. So even if we were scrimming against the B team, say you have a B team player right next to you, you could hear him talking. The whole time, basically. And it'd just be like, okay, this is not very efficient. This is not very helpful. So they pretty much moved them to like the guest house, which was called the pool house. It was like another house next to the pool. And they went to go live in there, basically in a separate room, in a separate society almost from us. And it kind of created a rift. But at the same time, I heard some interesting stories. Maybe I can go on to the rift later. But I heard some interesting stories where one of our old players, Enlayer, the Russian, I just called him out, didn't I? I just called him out by name. Enlayer would basically leave food in his room to a point to where it got really disgusting. If you know what I mean, like literally, like he would leave his food on his desk for like 2 months, and there'd be like mold coming out of it. Like there would be some disgusting shit coming out of that room on his plate. Yeah, it was pretty brutal, man. And he wouldn't, like, nobody would clean it up. It would just be sitting there in this room, creating this, like, funky smell, and this, like, leaving this, like, disgusting thing in the room for months on end. And then by the time somebody went to go clean it up, like, I think our chef because our chef had to take care of it at a certain point. He would walk in there, and he couldn't even go in there for, like, 10 minutes. He'd be like, oh, my fucking God, dude. And he would just be absolutely disgusted by it. And then Enlayer would say, it wasn't me, dude. It wasn't me.
What does he mean?
And he would just talk in this, like, this Russian accent. There's arguments on who did it. There was also in the house, I mean, I can go on these stories eventually. I don't know if we will tonight. But there was the stories about the poopinator in the house, like some guy that would just just shit in some of the toilets and not flush it. So like you go to a toilet, you'd be like, oh, I gotta go take a piss. I gotta go take a shit right now. I gotta take a crap so bad. You open the toilet lid and you just see this huge pile of dung in the toilet because nobody flushed it. It was just, that's the epitome of a gamer house, dude.
How is this possible? There has to be some accountability. There's only like 10 of you in the house, right?
No. There was like 14 of us in the house living 14. There. And
how is this possible?
It's a bunch of gamers, a bunch of adolescents, bro. I don't want to call out Brad or anything like that, but Brad is also a gamer. Brad is a gamer to the core, okay? And now that's for better or for worse. They're going to be sitting there grinding VODs all day, watching VOD reviews, but at the same time, are they taking care of their health? Probably not. They're drinking Cokes all day. They're fucking playing games all day. You think you know how to not be normal people? Why would you get up out of your desk when you just finished food, when you can finish playing the game that you're in right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you go waste time when you can immediately just pass out in your chair instead of actually getting up and taking shit to the garbage? You know what I'm saying? At this point, might as well bring bottles to your desk, bring diapers, and start wearing diapers and start shitting in the desk while you're playing the games.
It's gonna be
know
like
what I'm saying?
that South Park episode.
Yeah, it is actually. It really is. It really is. There's some bad shit that actually happens. I think even in the tier 2 scene that people go through. But that house was like actually not that big. It was, I say it was a mansion, but I think we had maybe like 8 or 9 rooms or 10 rooms or something like that total. And I didn't even get an actual bedroom. Like I had to live in an actual like living room. You know what I'm saying? Like I lived right next to Erster.
Yeah. Do you want to describe like your actual like positioning situation? I remember you just had curtains up, and that was your like
curtains.
So basically, there's the front door of our big mansion in Thousand Oaks, and right next to so as soon as you walk in, that's my room. So I didn't have a doorway because it's not supposed to be like a bedroom, per se. It's not supposed to be a bedroom. So it was literally, sorry, holy crap. It was literally just like outlined with like blackout curtains. You know what I mean? Like it was outlined with blackout curtains. Then we put on at the top like those adhesives or whatever. So it would like constantly fall off. It would constantly fall down, you know what I'm saying? And like we'd have to reposition it. So I'd be like naked. Oh man, there were some bad stories in there, dude. I don't know if I could actually go into them the more I'm thinking about it. Anyway, I'll continue talking about this room setup. So as soon as you pushed across the court curtains, because I had at first I only had like 2 curtains set up here. So I had to like walk like Aladdin my way into my room pretty much here, and there would be doors pretty much next to Erster's room. So Erster had a bedroom, and by the way, all fucking bullshit. By the way, I just want to point out this goddamn racism. But all of our Korean players had the best rooms. All of our Korean players had the best mattresses. They had all the best equipment. Meanwhile, I'm over here. I'm over here with a shitty $50 mattress with a fucking goddamn curtain set up here, and I just had to outline Erster's doorways so he couldn't see me with our curtains, so that nobody could see with these blackout curtains, so he couldn't see me. And obviously those would fall off sometimes, so who knows what I was doing at nighttime, and those would fall down, and Erster would like see me on his bed and he'd be like, oh, or whatever, something like that, in that scenario. That would happen more often than you think. It was absolutely bullshit. The scenario I was in. I wanted a good room. So that's why as soon as Erster left back to Korea, I fucking stole his room, and I opened both the doorways so I could have a nice little bedroom and nice little area. But it was a terrible living space. There was some funny things that happened there. I mean, there was one time where, I was just chilling at night, might have been half naked in my room on the table, and then I don't have a door, of course. So somebody's wife, I won't say who, somebody's wife would open the curtain and just like, oh, dinner's ready, and they come in on me in my fucking bedroom, just chilling on my fucking computer chair, and they just come in and see me half nude and just be like, bro, what the fuck, get out of my room, dude? Like, what the fuck's going on? You're not my mother. You're not supposed to be walking into these fucking bedrooms. Now, listen, I'm not going to sue the person. Okay, I totally get it. I don't have a doorway. Dinner's ready. What am I supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Okay? I don't really know. But at the same time, it was not exactly a great environment to be in. But it was fun. It was a good year. I would recommend it. Live in a gamer house.
We'll get our own gamer house.
We'll get our own gamer house. We'll get our own gamer house.
Studio for our show.
Yeah, get our own studio, get our own gamer house. That's the goal here, okay? But
who's
hopefully nobody.
The one who doesn't flush.
No, I was not the poopinator. I was not the poopinator. I promise you. I was not the poopinator.
Dustin, what do you think, Max?
It was not me. It was not me. I'm pretty sure it was Kasaurus.
I think it was dog shit from the dog man.
I'm pretty sure it was Kasaurus, the San Francisco Shock assistant coach. I'm calling him out. I'm pretty sure it was him. It was not me. It was not me. Don't say it was me, you fucking assholes. It was definitely not me. It was definitely not dog shit to dog man. It was definitely not me. I did not do any of that scenario, okay? I'm not going to get into what happened here, but I was not the poopinator, okay? I promise you. But there was another... I'll go on to one more story before we close out the show here. Because there was so little rooms, and because my room was I promise you, even though my room seemed shit, it was pretty big. It was not, like, that bad. I didn't have a closet or anything like that, so I had to buy, like, like an Amazon, like, fold-up closet or whatever, like, so I could hang up all my clothes. But there was actually literally a tiny closet. Like, I don't even know if it was livable. It was literally big enough for like not even a human being. Yet there was a mattress in there. There was no air conditioning, and somebody actually used this as a room. Like somebody used this as their bedroom. And I didn't think it was that bad at first because it's like, okay, they just have to, whenever they go to bed, they just go upstairs and they go sleep in this tiny closet. like a goblin or something like that. You know, it was a little strange. You know, it's a little bit weird that somebody had to live in literally like a 1x1 in Minecraft like closet as their bedroom. But they just did. And then eventually, like, okay, so I'm like, okay, I got to go wake this person up or go out to get food or something like that. I'm not going to say who it is because that would be actually terrible if I let you know who it is because what I'm about to say is pretty outrageous. It got to a point, so there'd be weeks and months where it went by where, you know, this person lived in that room. And we would go upstairs because it's on the second floor. And past the stairway, you know, you go past like the tanning room or whatever. There's like a tanning room that nobody used, by the way. And then the closet would be there. It'd be this tiny closet with no air conditioning. So bear in mind, I want to keep you informed that there was no air conditioning. I should rephrase this again so you know. I would open the door, and immediately after opening the door, this massive odor would fucking fly at your face, dude. Like a massive fart cloud, a terrible fucking like human smell of somebody that hasn't been showering for a few days, somebody that hasn't been cleaning themselves, and it was just absolutely terrible smell. It was so smelly. Like, I don't, like, imagine if somebody was, like, had no deodorant under their arms, you know, like, oh, that smells terrible. But, like, you think that smells bad? It was, like, 20 times that smell. That same smell, but 20 times as pungent, coming at your face. And nothing could be done about it because there was no air conditioning there. Some days it was super hot, and he's just sweating his balls off in his fucking little sweatshop-ass room, just, like, dying. You know, and it was like, oh, fuck, I kind of feel bad for this person. No, I won't say who it was. Maybe eventually I will if they let me say it. But for now, I'm going to keep that name, you know, not known. There was a lot of other funny stories we can go on eventually about the Atlanta Rain Mansion. I'm sure Eric and Paul wouldn't like me talking about them. But, you know, maybe they would. Maybe they would. Maybe they want this kind of stuff aired. So, but I will let you guys know. We'll talk about more stories and stuff like that. Max, do you have any question about the Atlanta Rain house before we head off air? Look, you got to say something.
I don't want to know any more today. I'm already disgusted.
You're on cooldown. Oh my god. Well, thank you. Oh yeah.
It just. How many showers were there?
There was. Some of the bathrooms had their own shower. I mean, some of the bathrooms had their own shower. Some of the bedrooms had their own shower. Mine didn't. There was like a shower in Pokepo's room. I think he had a shower, which I think Erster used that too. There was a shower in Gator's room, which Gator also lived with Funny Astro, by the way. They like shared the same bedroom. It was kind of weird, but they shared the same shower. I think Baby Bay and DeFran had their own shower. There was a shower in the main shower I used was all the way in the workout room. There was like a workout room outside the door that was near the pool house, and that shower was like connected to the workout room, if that makes sense. So I would go in there and I'd shower in there and find, you know, massive spiders or whatever. But, you know, it was kind of a walk for my bedroom. You know, I know this is first world problems here, but I had to walk to my shower, man. Like, who has to walk to their shower? What the fuck's that? It was a nice ass shower though. It was a nice ass fucking massive shower. I'm not gonna lie, Max. It was great.
Like a nice mansion.
It was old though.
14 people, but
it was old. I'll let you know. Maybe tomorrow we can talk about, if you remind me, we could talk about the good old. I know I mentioned there's no air conditioning. The air conditioning was really faulty in this like old ass mansion. It was terrible. So maybe tomorrow we could talk about that. So tune in tomorrow if you want to hear about our air conditioning system in the Atlanta Rain Mansion and everything fucking being on fire.
Why didn't you just buy a swamp
during
cooler?
summer? We did. Trust me, we did, and that didn't help. That's how hot it was in there. Anyway,
it's hot and humid.
Yeah, tune in tomorrow for that kind of stuff. Thank you guys for coming to the show today on this Woeful Wednesday. So depressed, so much depression going on right now. It's just ridiculous. Like that, the mansion. Oh my god, what a terrible time in my life living in a multi-million-dollar mansion for free. You know, what a terrible fucking first world.
You guys made
it was.
playoff?
It was pretty good. We did make the playoffs. We placed top 6, which was not bad for a first year considering everybody was underrating us. And maybe I can disclose my salary one of these days. I don't know if I'm legally allowed to. I'll find out if I am. I probably am, though. I'll probably disclose that eventually in season 2 what my salary was. But thank you for coming, guys, to the show. This was fun. Max and Anthony, thank you for being here with me today on this terrible Wednesday. Actually, fuck you for showing up. I hate you guys. This was terrible. I hate you, Samantha. I hate you, Rin. I hate you, Tolberto. You're all terrible human beings. And on a terrible, woeful Wednesday, this is Dusttin Bowerman and crew signing out. We'll see you later, boys. Goodbye.
Yeah, so at least $10 that it was Dustin.
It was not me. It was not me. I promise you, it wasn't me. Stop saying it was me.
You probably set up end layer too.
It was not me. We can talk to my fellow teammates. They think it wasn't me. It was either end layer, it was either Thesaurus, or it was either 7.